Welcome everyone to India Food Systems Youth Network second engagement. This session is by Dr. Shridevi on wild edibles, food beyond farms. Food beyond farms. I will introduce our speaker today. Dr. Shridevi Gothe is an accomplished Ayurvedic scholar and functional food innovator with expertise in integrating traditional food wisdom with modern nutritional sciences. She holds an MD, Doctor of Medicine in Ayurveda from Government Ayurvedic Medical College. And a bachelor's in Ayurvedic medicine and surgery from Government Ayurvedic Medical College, Mysore. Dr. Sridevi also holds an EPG diploma in public nutrition from Public Health Foundation of India and is currently certified by NPTEL in novel technologies for food processing and shelf life extension. And she has joined TDU long back in 2017 as an assistant professor. She has been part of research in functional food development, iron-rich dietary interventions, and innovative Ayurvedic formulas. Dr. Sridevi's work bridges ancient Ayurvedic principles with contemporary wellness practices, contributing to extensive public health, nutrition, and culinary sciences. Dr. Sridevi has been working in the field of food system for a really long time and has been available for us for this session for an hour, and we are more than happy to welcome you, Dr. Sridevi. And while we do that, while I hand over the floor to her, I request everyone to please rename yourself as your name, because we will be taking attendance, and feel free to use chat box. If you get any questions, use chat box as your place to place your questions. We will take question and answer at the end of the session. Over to you, Sridevi. We are very excited for this.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you for your introduction and thank you for giving me this session to interact with the students and to represent TDU Food Future team. Uh, it's a really good platform to have a discussion with the students and understand their perspective. I want it to be like more like an interactive session rather than talking about something what I'm doing. Uh, this is all about that we are working in Food Future uh, program about wild edibles and how it is we are trying to bring in the wild edible into mainstream of food and how it will help in changing the food choices and it also helps the consumers to understand their choices and it will change the food system thoughts of the no, entire society. So, with that, we'll start this presentation. If possible, Vishal, can we um, like keep the unmute, the participants can unmute themselves?
I think they can.
Okay, please keep that on because I'll be asking some questions or they can ask me questions in between. It need not to be like very presentation mode. It can be just a discussion. So, uh, with that, okay. Oh, just give me a moment. The objective that I want to discuss during this session is giving a brief understanding or brief discussion about what are wild edibles, how to identify, how they are diversely available in the natural resources, and system thinking around this is very important when we understand wild edibles. How can we use them, how to analyze their role as a resilient and sustainable food choices for the local food system, and what are the experience that we bring in or the familiarity through the what work that we are doing and how it will bring in the for the development of new things or how can wild edibles become the part of mainstream. And the last thing for this, especially for this session, I just want to give a glimpse of how can we evaluate the safety, scalability. Is there opportunity to do some innovation with wild edible as food products. So that's the overall glimpse that we will be discussing. And I just want to have a question here, like for the entire participants, like what determines our trust in the food that we consume? You can write it in the chat box. Vishal can read it, or anybody can unmute and answer. What is the trust? Like what determines for to believe our food or trust our food items? Except like it's not about the packaged foods I'm talking. It's about the ingredients, like fresh ingredients. How you choose your ingredients. What makes you like believe, okay, I can consume it or I can have it. Anybody wants to answer? Are there any one? Is there a message?
Yes, there's a message from Kairav. He says, if many people are buying from same place for a long time, Amit
Yeah.
says, for me, it's a balanced taste,
Yes. Anybody? Anybody else? I agree with the answers.
freshness, no wilts and blisters or blotches.
Yes.
That's Ryan.
Ryan. Uh, yeah. So I understand this point, and I also believe that what they are telling is uh, exactly right. That's what we all know. Mostly familiar. If I'm not it, and it looks good, definitely I'll eat it. So and it tastes good. Uh, am I audible, Vishal?
Sridevi, your voice is breaking a little. I
Yeah,
don't know if
just
that's my network or yours.
yeah, just give me a moment because there's some issue with my network.
Sure, sure. I'm sure technology is still very online sessions become a task sometimes
Yeah,
because of internet
the
connection.
summer season is very difficult to
Yeah.
manage.
Meanwhile, please, participants are welcome to use the chat box to respond to Sridevi's earlier
Yeah,
question. We've got some more responses.
yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. So most of the time, rather than biological risk or biological hazards, mostly as a food, we look for cultural acceptance, whether I'm familiar with it or not. If more people are consuming, definitely we'll get influenced by that. Like, yeah, so many people are consuming, I'll also consume. So it's very rarely we think about whether it is having any biological hazard or whether it is safe to consume. It comes at the secondary thought. The primary thought for trusting the food will always be the cultural effect, the taste, the color, the people, whether how many people are consuming. My grandmother used to consume this. No, now I will consume it. That kind of, you know, kind of interaction we have with our food. We always believe plastic packaging. We never question it, but we always question if it food comes from forest. Oh, is it edible? Is it? It doesn't look good. It doesn't have taste. So that kind of um, uh, acceptance issue that we always have when it comes to food, because it's our not only our unfamiliarity, but also the culture that we have grown, the religion, the culture, the surroundings that we have also matters a lot. So, to answer first thing, it's to understand how we trust our food and ingredients. And then the question will be, what are our wild edibles that we are going to talk today? What everybody understand about wild edible? What do you mean by wild edible? There are a lot of things comes under this category. I have listed few that's neglected and underutilized. There will be wild edible species. There will be overlooked species, orphaned species, and local species. Uh, Almost everything will get confused when we are talking about wild edibles. At certain extent, everything is interlinked and sometimes they are interposed also. Like some of these wild edible species are neglected in certain places, and some of these are orphan species also. But definitely, there is a classification also we can go into. Generally, if we have to talk about wild edibles, what are wild edibles? Generally, they are naturally grown without any very, very less human intervention or no human intervention, and it's not a monocultivation type. It's there is no cultivation, or there is no single species cultivation that will be happening here. It's generally it will be growing with multiple species. Neglected and underutilized species are like, they are there, but they are not being recognized by the people. Like Maduka indica, it's been grown, and then it's been cultivated in certain places also, but not extensively like any other cereal or things. And wild edible species are something which are mostly foraged by the people in the inside the forest or in some wastelands or something like that. But overlooked species are, they are there next to everybody, but nobody is seeing them. Such thing is Cassia terra. Cassia terra is a species which will be available during rainy season abundantly throughout India, but very, very rarely people will consume it or utilize it. And orphaned species are like, they have been not recognized and taken up for the cultivation or growth process. Hence, there will be they will be at the extinct condition. Like there is a I couldn't find the botanical name of this plant, which is called a chavala bhaji in Maharashtra. They use it as a green leafy vegetable, but it's not. Being found nowadays. Like it's very rarely, here and there people will find it and use it for cooking. And there are local, very, very local species like you might have heard about the shami or prosperous uh, plant tree. Its fruits are used in Rajasthan for making vegetable. That's very local to them, and people use it. Even the khari is some kind of um, um, uh, it's a decida. It's a kind of cactus kind of variety which grows in very deserted land. So that's also not available nowadays. Nobody is bothered about it. It's very local to Rajasthan place, and they make shangri and curry sabji at during the seasons. So that's a very local cuisine for them, and it's available only in those areas. Nowhere it will be found, and nowhere nobody will be using it. So those has to be revoked for the betterment or also for the food security and diversity purpose. So that's what I want to touch upon. And to just to give a break, because it will become too much monotonous, I have selected few plants. And the first who answers, Vishal, you have to keep a look, right? Who will answer? You have to take their name and just announce that the person has identified that plant. These are the some plants. These pictures are from our pilot of food forest that we have in TDU. So let us start with visual guessing game. Anybody who can guess this plant which is displayed can unmute and tell also, or you can type it in the chat box. Nobody?
Nightshade.
Yes. Thank you.
Nightshade.
Who
Aditya,
answered?
Aditya said it first. Yeah.
Aditya. Thank you,
I said
Aditya.
going.
And the second one, this is very common.
Centella asiatica.
Yes. Who
Brahmi.
was that? Brahmi. Yes. Thank you. And this is next. I think this is a little confusing photo, but still I have kept it.
Aprajit.
Yes. Aprajit or Clitoria.
Clitoria. Aditya.
This one is really difficult.
Galangal.
Galangal.
Yeah, somewhere near to Galangal, but not exactly Galangal. It's like similar species, but yeah, it's really difficult to tell by seeing the only the tubers. But I'll rhizomes. I'll tell you this is um Vacha species.
Mango.
Lucine, Vacha or Baje, it is called in local vernacular names. It's Lucia lanceolata. So this is a little bit confusing. I understand. If nobody, it's similar to Galanga also. There is no, if somebody said Galanga, we will accept it. This is little tricky. Can anybody guess this? So many of you have heard about it. There is a new brand which is coming up with a serum, with a drop, which has to be added to the food using this plant. And this is the bitter plant. This is very bitter. Any guess? And it is, you have already identified one plant with a similar name. So nobody is answering.
I think
Let us,
Aditya did give one answer, but I'm finding it. I think there is some typo in it.
yeah, it's, what is the
He
answer?
means Bacopa moneri.
Yeah, it's
Monari.
100% right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's Bacopa maneri. It's also called Brahmi. There are Brahmi Dve or two Brahmis. One is Jala Brahmi, another is called Brahmi or Endri, which is Centella asiatica, and Jala Brahmi is Bacopa maneri. And all these things I'm showing are edibles. So, okay. Anybody know this plant? This is looks like you might have seen it sometime somewhere, but it not exactly. This will be used by some of the tribal people for making sag or even dry powder kind of thing. It's very rich with nutritions, micronutrients. It also has potassium, phosphorus. Any answer?
There is Shridevi. One is Burui. I'm struggling to pronounce them myself.
Yeah, I'll just
It's Boravia, and
Boravia and
one is
Gongura.
Gongura.
Yeah, Gongura.
Boravia, yes. Boravia, I can understand people can confuse with Boravia. It's not Boravia. And it is not the other one is other one was what?
Gongura.
Gongura,
Gongura.
not Gongura. Gongura is like a hibiscus family. It will be a shrub kind of thing. It's a creeper, like it's a creep, not creeper. It is it covers the ground. So this is called Lipidia nodifolia. This is a plant. This is a like water loving plant. It will be found near ponds or something like that. And but it during rainy season and all, you will get a good amount of this is also called jalapippali in Sanskrit and used in lot of Ayurveda formulations. But some of the tribal people use it for food, and it is very rich with micronutrients. And this, I think, at least few people will identify. This is a very beautiful flower.
It's called Shiranji, right?
Grungy. Yeah,
Woodfordia.
Woodfordia. Yes.
That's again Aditya.
Thanks, Aditya. Aditya is a pro for identification of plants. Okay, I'm done with this small activity. Uh, let's move to the next point that I want to cover with wild edibles is how the diversity of wild edibles, like what are the things that are there in the wild edibles. It's not only green. Generally, wild edibles means people mostly think about greens. There are definitely lot of greens. We have at least I've shown more than four now, but there are also fungi, mushroom. There are different fruits, berries, and insects also. You might have heard about the red ants. People at certain places in Karnataka, especially the tribal species people in the South Canara, they'll have these ants which are there in the tree. So there's certain species of insects are also consumed, and they are the sources of multi nutrients. So it's a very diverse thing. Wild edibles can cover lot of groups that are there in our food system. And where we will find these wild edibles, definitely, as the name mentions, in forest, natural resources like grasslands. Even there are some wetland and coastal plants. In urban spaces, we'll find it in some wastelands or maybe the edges of the cities where we will find some greens. There are places where we can get some of the wild edible greens. And so I just want to give a glance why it is very much important to include in food system, because it's a parallel invisible food system. Wild edibles are something which is parallelly there in our food system apart from the modern cultivated food that is mainstream, but that is mostly calorie dense. If you how many of you know the Lancet nutritional guidelines? If you know the Lancet guidelines, it recommends at least 10 groups of ingredients that you have to choose everyday basis. And how many of you are consuming 10 varieties of ingredients or vegetables? Yes, definitely there are a lot of diversity. Even if we go to market, you will get more than 30, 40 varieties of vegetables in the shop. There will be greens of 10 variety, vegetables of 10 variety, then there will be some exotic variety vegetables. But how many of us can afford it and what is the cost? That is very important for us to analyze, because the question might arise in everybody's mind, why the wild edibles are required when I am able to get diversify my food with available 30 40 vegetables already which are there in the market. I just go and pick it up. So to answer that, I wanted to compare what is available for us, and also the cost wise, I cannot spend like whatever I have as a common person. There can be $1 or $2 per day that we can spend, where somewhere between 100 to 200 rupees per day, or maximum 300 based on the standards of life. But we are unable to eat every day 10 plus in fresh vegetables with very low cost. If I have to, then I have to spend $5 or maybe more than that 500 per day is not possible for all uh, 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 strata of people in the society. So there is the food security with the diversification becomes at stake. So the diversification with food, still the food security has to be met. Then the awareness about wild edibles, local available food becomes very, very important. So I've just given the comparison between the wild food and the cultivated food. The wild food, as we have already understood, they are foraged, hunted, or harvested in an unmanaged ecosystem. But uh, the cultivated food will be from agriculture, lands where the human intervention will be a lot, and they will manage these crops, and there will be generally monocrop system involved in cultivation of modern culture. The biodiversity, when it comes to wild edible, it there is lot of resilient genetic pool that happens when it comes to wild food. But when it comes to a monoculture kind of agriculture, where there is calorie dense food will be grown, because they will be generally required in the market at a larger quantity. So to meet the global scale, there will be calorie dense and highly productive species will be used, which can produce huge yield at a time. Wild edibles can't do that because they have a very less yields per harvest, and they are also seasonal, and they are also very local to the area or geography. And the inputs, but the inputs that is required to grow or have wild foods is zero almost, because there is no water requirement, there's no fertilizers required for the wild edibles. But there's a lot of resources go in cultivating the modern cultivated food crops. But when it comes to nutrition, there's a high micronutrient density in case of wild edibles. But in case of cultivated food, these are generally calorie rich, and micronutrients will be very, very less. I will also tell it again depends on the species and also soil quality and many other things. But still, if we look into the nutritional value of a cultivated amla and non-cultivated or wild amla species, the ascorbic acid content and polyphenol content in a wild species will be very, very high, at least 2x high compared to the cultivated variety. And the availability wise, the wild foods becomes very local, seasonal. They are dependent on the season and locality where it is available. But the cultivated food, because of lot of already they have done genetic variations and stuff, there is they are already resilient to a lot of different habitats and geographic reasons, so they can grow in many places to supply to the entire globe. But the nutrition diversity is the one major restriction that will be happening with the cultivated foods. What are the benefits, especially that we are expecting from the wild food, will be environmental efficiency, because uh, these can grow significantly in abundance in forests and grasslands, and they are very local geographical centric. They are resilient to the problems that, or the local problems that are existing, like dry lands or too much marshy land, salt water, all those things. The species are very specific to that local area. Hence, it's very easy for the plants to grow there. And it also reduces the carbon footprint, and the water consumption that is happening will be reduced for these cases. And greenhouse gas effect, because there is less energy utilized for the wild edible growth. And nutritional superiority, as I have already talked a little bit there, they are nutritionally dense. And system resilience, as I have already told, they are seasonal specific, but they are very resilient to the changes in the certain locality that is happening. Hence, because they are surviving there in that same locality from a long time, and also because they are in an micro environment. They are already having the plants will come up with their own resistance system or immunity towards the specific insects, specific diseases, or specific environmental conditions that may be possible in that particular locality or particular area. So that becomes very important to have this kind of wild edibles. And also the societal and economical benefits, which I have forgot to mention here, because that is also very important. Because it doesn't require too much of human intervention, and it also produce the nutritional values, can we use it for value addition, and that will provide us the economical security to the local society, and it supports the livelihood of the farmers. That can be the also the in case of forest, there will be certain tribes who will be collecting these kind of foraged materials, and they will be sometimes they use it by themselves, or they will sell it nearby places. If somebody creates awareness and somebody makes them into value added products, then there is a possibility of that tribe and that farmer can get benefited with a livelihood, or there will be some addition or to their livelihoods. And also there is a kind of integrated land management, which I always prefer, because when we are doing monoculture mono species agriculture, there is lot of waste land at the edges or in between the step that we have in the agriculture land. There will be steeps and there will be heights. There will be some land wastage will be there. If we can use some wild edible which are very local to that area, can give some amount of livelihood to the farmer, and also it will help the creating the different diversity in the farmland. Also it gives the nutritional security to at least to the farmer's family. So that should also be considered, and can, if it is the produce is more, then it can be used in a better way for the different urban markets or maybe some value added products. And hidden hunger is the biggest challenge that entire globe is facing. That's the major micronutrient deficiency. I was yesterday only I was talking about women health. Women health, when it comes to women health, women are the major contributors for the iron deficiency anemia in India. So the iron deficiency between vitamin deficiencies are mostly prevalent in women. So it's a hidden hunger. Nobody will understand there is a deficiency of certain nutrients in our body unless and until it shows some symptoms. Otherwise, generally they are neglected. So it is very important to satisfy this hidden hunger. So I think this wild edibles give the that kind of diversity and help us in reducing the hidden hunger problem. So overall, the nutrition density, climate resilience, biodiversity enhancement, livelihood support, and food sovereignty are the major benefits that can be bring in by the wild edibles that we use. But this is a SWOT kind of analysis that I just want to go through, because everybody started talking about wild edibles. But being a food researcher and a nutrition person, we always have to think in multi-dimension. We need to understand what are the pros and cons in that particular ingredient. That becomes very, very important. As I already mentioned, there is lot of benefits I have already spoken, but I want to also highlight some of the challenges or some of the problems that we may face, because there are a lot of anti-nutritional factors. There might be some toxicity safety issues, and sometimes there is a chances of misidentification of the species. There are species which look similar, but one is edible, the others are not edible. That happens with certain species. Like there are this solanum species, may there are solanum verum, solanum torvum, everything is edible. There are one or two species which are not edible. And in case of Acacia tora, as I mentioned, there is Acacia occidentalis, which has little bit toxicity. Unless and until the people know how to purify those particular toxins or the actives, should not consume it. It's very dangerous, or it is a safety issue. Similarly, with there is a plant called Cisix quadrangulus. Cisix quadrangulus, they use it for making chutney and all. Seems to be very normal for the people, but who are showing that cooking chutney in YouTube, everything feels normal. But unless and until I tried it, and but there are caution, people give caution, but on no YouTube channel is giving us when they are showing the recipe that you have to be cautious while you are touching, because the sap is very, very irritative. If somebody touches the sap or consumes without doing proper cleaning process, then there are it's life threatening also, because it has lot of oxalates and it will immediately inflame the mucus layer if you consume it. So the entire airway may get blocked. So such kind of ingredients are there, but when it is processed properly, it has a lot of nutrients. Other than that, it can be used. The process that traditionally they follow is frying with ghee. It's very simple, but it has the sap should not be dried with ghee, fried nicely. Then it becomes easy for us, or it becomes safe for consumption. So that's very important to understand the safety, and most of the time that comes from the traditional knowledge, and because traditionally they know how to process these certain wild edibles. Local people know how they are cooking. There are certain steps they follow. So for example, there is one pata, or which is called as I'm just forgetting the botanical name. There's one creeper climber which is called as pata, which is available at roadside also. But it has certain saponins, tannins, alkaloids. So to remove that, it will be dipped in buttermilk overnight, because of the pH, the acidity, and the protein that is present in the buttermilk will bind to those molecules and help in reducing the anti-nutritional factors. So that's there in the culture, that's there in the practice who use those wild edibles. But we need to understand why they are practicing such a method to cook them, why that step is important for them to process. So if we understand scientifically, I think then we can take it forward and talk about the nutritional values also along with, but it is very important to have the understanding about the safety and the anti-nutritional factors. There is a lot of opportunities as of now for the wild edibles as an functional foods, because there is a lot of berry wild berries beverages are coming. There are pestos, there are different fruit leathers. Everybody is trying value addition to this wild edible value added products using this wild edibles and underutilized to create a market and create a awareness about these particular plants. But the problem is that we can't supply to a bigger mass. It's a very niche market. They are also we are losing lot of spaces because we are unable to identify, we are unable to utilize them, and also we have very less knowledge about these particular plants. And these are the certain methods how we can quantify or understand the or make a rule, how we can check the wild edibles. For example, what are the environmental impact, whether it has any greenhouse gas emission, what is the kg per CO2 emission per kg of the yield that I am getting, what is the water consumption level, whether it is easy, whether it's consuming blue water or green water, the what is the efficiency wise, how much land is required to grow that particular wild edible. And the biodiversity wise, we can see the species richness impact, how it impacts the soil health, how it impacts the carbon sequestration, all those things. And also nutritional quality, macro, micro, phytonutrients which are available, what is the if there is a protein digestibility, the absorption, whether there are any anti-nutritional factor which are hindering the bioavailability. And also we have to think about the other factors like its yield, seasonality, distribution, whether it is affordable or it is resilient, or it can tolerate all the environment, and is there any contamination. Because I will give you an example. There is this Cissus quadrangulus which is also called hongane soppu in local market. It will be sold, but if it is grown near any lake or any pesticide prone area, or near to any industrial area, that particular plant is very potent to absorb heavy metals. So if somebody is selling it in the market from a area which is near to the industrial area, it's very dangerous. So we need to understand the safety of these wild edibles, because they are very much potent to absorb. Some of the species at least are very potent to absorb the heavy metals which are available in the soil. While they're nutritionally dense, but there is also chances of these things. Hence, the contamination of heavy metals and pesticides, and analyzing those things before we use it into any product becomes very important. When we are thinking about any productization, value addition, I think these are the things we need to consider carefully, and then go ahead with the wild edible or any underutilized plant. Then forest functional foods, if we have to get a path for how can we reach to value-added product, is we have to make an like sourcing a place where from where we can harvest wild edibles, how to source the raw material that we require, and then pre-processing. There will be some sorting, cleaning, removing that will be there with any raw material you get. But the most important factor in wild edibles will be detoxification. Is there any soaking, fermentation, thermal process, or removal of anti-nutrients is required? Accordingly, there has to be a step. Then the product development, formulating the wild edible ingredients based on the for the present palate, because everybody cannot accept the wild edible. They have a very unique taste, and it requires unique palettes also, because everybody cannot easily consume very bitter ingredients or chlorophylls flavor. You might have seen all the green leafy vegetable will have certain flavor that's a raw. Generally we call it as raw flavor, which is nothing but chlorophyll flavor. So that's not very easily acceptable by everybody. So to convert it into a product where the people can accept it, and then we have to go for multiple sensory evaluation system where taste, aroma, and overall consumer acceptance has to be checked. After that we can go with the acceptance, final market acceptance, and bridging the tradition with the existing food system. And with this, there will be some innovation challenges definitely while we are designing with the produce edible products, because the consumer acceptance might be very low because of the, as I already mentioned, there will be different flavor, taste associated with these wild edibles. And also, if we are going for a natural kind of products and clean label products, it becomes again really difficult. And to get into the urban market where the palettes are mostly the trained for sweets and the other stuffs, and where the getting into the such kind of market becomes really difficult with the wild edibles. But for that, it needs to be tailored with the tradition, with the stories, with the history, with the nutritional values. There will be many layers that come into picture when we talk about the value-added products. And there are many already examples that have been started. There are forest produce markets, forest produce, a small scale exhibition units, shops are started. There are very few brands which are working with forest producers, but there are certain things. So the mission here, to the whoever, I think Vishal can ask the participants. Every team is already they are there in team. They can just think about and one innovation idea about with a one wild edible which they want to through which they want to address a specific nutritional deficiency. They might know it might be there, no, need not to be very innovative product, but it can be an innovative idea. How can we place it into the market as a recipe or as a product, or it can be even recipe. I'm okay with that if there is a very unique traditional specific recipe which can be even go to a restaurant menu or something like that will be accepted. But this is one activity that all of you can do. Just think about it and submit it to Vishal. Maybe we will get some idea, and we have later we can have interaction with the team, like what is their idea behind choosing that particular wild edible and how they want to address certain nutritional deficiency through that wild edible. So this is an activity, and this is the end of the last slide about the summary that we want to just we will refresh what we have covered. The dietary diversity is the major thing that we are um, looking into. So to get that dietary diversion, we are thinking about multi as a food system or the people who are working with the future foods. So we are just thinking how can we bring in different food varieties, food choices that makes the not only diversification of the food, but also it will be nutritionally dense, and there should be some kind of uh, livelihood support to the society, and also it should be sustainably harvested and supports the environment and the planet in a way that there is no burden created on the earth. That's the major the goal that we want to achieve at the end of the day. So wild edibles in a way are not only the food for the present day, but they are the future food. I think uh, incorporating wild edibles into the mainstream food, it's not only diversify not the food and nutritional requirements, but also it will stabilize the local economy and local resource utilization, because lot of these plants are going waste. Though they are nutritionally rich, nobody is using them. So that local resource utilization will be literally a thing that I want to convey to the people, that this has to happen. There should not be any resource wastage that is happening on the planet because we are running out of resources. So with that, I will close this session. And if there is any question and any discussion, we'll keep the forum open for that.
I thank you, Shridevi. Shridevi, there was a question from Amit in the thoda sa in between. So he
Yeah.
had asked how easy or difficult it is to identify a plant by looking at its leaves.
See, how difficult and how easy, it depends on the species to species. Uh, it can be very easy with the species where the leaves are the major identification parts, because every species will have a major identification part. Some will be identified by their fruit, some will be identified by their flowers, some will be identified by their habit, that is whether it is a tree or a shrub. The leaves, it's sometimes very confusing because most of the leaves sometimes look similar of same species ka. For example, I was talking about solanum. If you see the solanum species ka plants, every brinjal, every variant of brinjal species looks similar. There is solanum torvum, solanum verum, solanum xanthocarpum, solanum suratensis, name it, there are 100. But till date, I struggle with by seeing the plant to identify which variety it is. It's really, really difficult in some species, but in some species, it becomes very easy. You can just identify, for example, guava. It's by you pluck one leaf, you will understand, yeah, this is guava. And if you similarly with in case of garcinia, you pluck one, but leaf arrangement and leaf morphology is a major identification in most of the plants. That for that we need to understand the entire arrangement, morphology, the color, the venation, everything, the entire characteristics of the leaves. But if you are able to identify it, like, majorly, like at least 50% of the plants can be identified by the leaves. But difficulty comes when there are similar variety, similar kind of leaves, similar pattern of arrangement. The people get confused with the Sesbania grandiflora. There is another plant which looks similar, which is which is like a neem variety. It's a hybrid of neem variety, and that is available in lot of places in Bangalore, which is confused with that. So the if the if unless and until if you are very keen in observing the shape, size, venation, the serration, there will be hair-like structure which is called hirsutism, and there is arrangement of leaves, simple compound leaves, whether they are opposite leaves, whether they are bilateral. So there are lot of things. So if you understand the leaves in a botanically very correctly, it 50 to 60% easy to identify.
Yeah. Devi, Amit, if you feel okay, you could also unmute and ask yourself
Yeah.
the later part of your question, or you want me to read. I'll just read maybe. So he had asked, what about AI-based tools in this context of identifying plants? What is your opinion onto it?
See, I am not a botanist to answer all these identification questions, but still I will try to answer your questions a person working in field with wild edibles. I am really skeptical to use AI at this point of time because the AI is not yet trained with all varieties of wild edibles. So it will get confused if the leaves and the particular morphological features that it's been fed with, uh, it won't be able to identify. For example, I showed clitoria. If there is no flower and no beans, just give the leaves. It will identify sometimes as acacia torra or something other, some other plant. So the leaves look similar to Cassia Torah sometimes. So AI is not a very best tool at this point of time. Going ahead, it may take over, but it may become very easy as like GPS navigation. Initially, GPS used to take us, if we asked to certain place, it used to go some other place. But now GPS locations are so much intense that you every point will be shown very clearly. Similarly, if the data has been fed trained, the AI tool can be trained very well, and in future then I think identification through AI becomes easy. As of now, it is not good at identification, at least for wild edibles, because they are very rare and only few people are using it.
Thank you for answering. I'm Amit.
Thank you, Amit. Thanks for asking so much good questions and also identification of the plants.
Uh,
Thank you.
there's a,
Thank you.
there's another question from Kairav. Is there a resource using which we can learn edible plants identification?
Uh, what?
Is
Come
there
again?
a
Sorry.
resource using which we can learn about edible plant identification? A resource, a toolkit kind of a thing.
Toolkit kind of a things for wild edibles.
Yeah, to identify wild edibles using with a document or a resource which can help.
Yeah, that as of now there are no toolkit, but like a herbarium kind of toolkit, like we have a sheets, herbarium sheets, identification from where you identified that data has to be collected, especially for wild edibles. Nobody has done it as such. There is huge data that we are also trying to create database. It requires nutritional value and anti-nutritional value. Identify when it comes to only identification, then morphological feature from the leaf, flower, fruit. Every part of the plant has to be identified and noted down. This is how it looks. This is the flower. This is the color. This is the leaf. This is how it is arranged. This is then I think, yeah, that too. But as of now, there is no tool available for identification. But general identification tools that are there for botanical identification, plant identification can be used here also.
So I'll just come in and speak if that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking more as a lay person. See, I have no background in biology, botany, right? But
yeah,
as a lay person, if as a skill I want to learn, okay, which plant, what part is edible, beyond of what is sold in the market, is there
yes.
any, say, video series which exists which I can watch, or a book that I can read which will tell me or which will have images for me to understand which part is edible and not, and thereby take it forward. In the past, I have met one or two people who have this knowledge, but they have like obtained it from a variety of sources. Maybe this is their full-time job, so they are able to obtain this knowledge, right? But for someone, for any common man like me, who does not have a relation to this field, and also probably no time to sort of get a degree in botany or something. Is there any way that I can sort of learn this on my own at my own speed? Yeah, that's the question. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. There are books. I can forward you the book names. I have forgotten the books. There are this Forgotten Greens and Wild Edibles ka books. They have been even published by the very known people who are working in core wild edibles, who are botanists or taxonomists. Though I am also not. I am not a right person to talk about how to identify these things, but I have certain book list I can share with the participants who requires, and there are through that books. But you nobody can become expert suddenly, because it requires a lot of, because these things are not yet documented properly. There is patches, like somebody is trying to work on wild edible and they are noting what is available. There is nothing like a huge database kind of thing where we can find all the details about the wild edibles. That is the major missing thing in wild edibles. So that has to be done. The data has to be created. Data has to be made available for the public. Then only it is possible for the public to use it very easily. As of now, as the people are still struggling to get it from the different sources, but there are certain books that I can share with the participants, that those are the few books that are available. The people who are working on wild edibles, they have published it. We can share with you the list.
Great, Sridevi. Thank you so much. I think if we don't have any other questions, we are almost in closing the session. If anybody has a question, please feel free to take few seconds to ask. Great. I suppose this means sure. I think Sridevi could help us identify a list of few books that she was talking about, and then we could pass it on to the participants over the next few days. But I think the process of understanding the wild edibles has been very important, and the elements that Sridevi has mentioned is very crucial for all of us to think upon and get an idea. Or maybe maybe next over the next few week, when you are thinking of wild edibles, try to bring one of the wild locally available edibles to your plate, to your dinner tables. Try once at least. I mean, that will give you an understanding of how diverse your own diverse locally available foods are, and that would be also a very starting point for us to actually get yourself onto the understanding part of it. Now that Sridevi has walked us through something really some credible points of it, like how environmentally sustainable they locally available food can be, wild edibles can be. They are nutrient rich, and the risk, of course, that sometimes these wild edibles involve. So I think thank you so much, Sridevi, for helping us understand the significance of wild edibles and walking us through the pros and cons. And I'm sure this all our participants, the youth network, India Food Systems Youth Network, is very happy and happy to have this session with you. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. And I suppose this was it. And we will build onto this activity later on. We are hosting an in-person campus walk at TDO on the 10th of April. Please feel free. We will also be able to understand some of these elements on field while learning, walking through the campus. We have TDO has a very beautiful small food forest patch of forest, and we can also explore those. That will be an in-person activity for all of us. With that, thank you so much, Sridevi. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us here over the weekend. Please do have a fun weekend, and please look for wild edibles around you. With that, we shall end.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shridevi.
Thank you.
Thank you.